The sophistication to inspire exhilaration. And the technology to customize every ride. Packaged to create a luxury ride like no other. Introducing the most premium personal watercraft on the market. The 2021 FX Series from Yamaha.
Morning. I'm in a much better mood today than I was yesterday when it was raining and we were doing my most favorite thing, camping in the rain. But it was all worthwhile. We've seen off hopefully the bad weather. Now we're going to hit the queue for the launch here. Life jacket, check. One packing system, check. And gloves, check. Check, how's this color coding? How's this? Look at it. Can't even tell the jacket from my fingers. Game plan today? Well, it would have been to be on a kayak, but my cameraman, my editor, my boss, Cameron, camera boss, he said no, I need to be on the boat.
This is my first time fishing in Cape Vidal and I'm very, very excited. I was holding back a bit because I was a bit nervous for the launch, but then I just said to myself, always say yes to new adventures and gonna go for it. And I'm hoping to catch a good game fish like a kuta or a tuna or maybe hopefully a prodigal son. So yeah, let's just see what the day holds and yes to new adventures.
We'll probably play it as we see what's happening out on the water. If there's bait and there's fish around nearby, well then we just fish close, because then you don't need to go far because the fish are here. So yeah, hopefully there's fish right here and then we can get some good action, get some good footage, and then hopefully I can get on the kayak this afternoon. I'll have to ask Cam's permission though, of course. Okay, thank you. I thought we were gonna go. Well done, BK. Shot, bro. Well done. Shot. Long time. Morning, welcome to Cape Vidal. What a cracker, hairy launch. Happy Thursday, guys. Happy Thursday to all the viewers out there. Myself, Alistair France. I'm going to be leading the show.
Thank you for joining us. We've got a lot in store for you on the line with me. We're going to go through some amazing secret tackle tips that we use on a daily basis. So thank you for joining, to all the seasoned fishermen, the students, the people wanting to learn. Stay with us for the next hour or so, and we're going to hopefully teach you some of the tricks of the trade that we've sort of figured out over the last couple of years. Firstly, I would like to welcome the boys, Byron, Brendan, thank you, Cam, much appreciated. They're joining us tonight. Welcome, guys. Nice to have you on again. Brendan, Byron. Yeah, so an exciting show today for the boys. I know everyone wants to pick everyone else's brains. Well, tonight's the night that we're going to do it. So I must say I'm very, very interested to pick Byron's brain and see what's new and what's been fiddling around. Boy's been fishing hard. He's been doing quite well. But generally on a serious level, the fishing nowadays, I mean, you know, let's talk about it. I was down at Balito Ski Boat Club today. I've had a look at all the groups. It has been tough. You know, we know that when those silver little bullets pop up, things become tough. Balito's been very rough. I must give credit to Peter Mitchell and his crew today. They got a lovely salmon, I think of about 20 kilos. Rian de Jong, well done, special fish that. He actually caught it on a jig. So big shout out to him. Amazing fish, well done, but it's definitely a scratch. So guys, you know, let's start on the tough fishing. What do you think? Shout out.
It hasn't been that tough. Now, I think if you find the right spots, there've been some wild snook sessions. But yeah, that's what it's really.
How would you find those spots, B?
It seems to be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just
looking.
I think it's the kayakers of the early morning session, getting on the water onto the snook spots straight away. They seem to be between sort of Eastmore, Westbrook, moving around that sort of area. Seabell, Umshloti. And obviously the guys who are fishing every day, every morning, they're shooting on the kayaks for a quick session. Like a place like Umshloti is nice, and you know, for a kayak it's nice and easy. You can launch their chain rock, shoot around the corner onto the little snook spot there, and knock off 3 snook in half an hour and back on the beach, you know. And I think that's probably been a bit of the key to what's been happening in that regard.
What do you think, BK? You know, how would you find a snook spot?
Where's Byron? He's frozen.
Seems my boy's frozen there. Huh?
Either that or he's suddenly
generally, while Byron sorts out his technical difficulties, you know, generally myself, I've been doing a lot more snook fishing than usual. I suppose they are there, but you know, what are you looking for? Myself, I'm looking for that rip. You know, that rip that's coming off. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I've been fishing St. Lucia quite a bit, and you know, getting 5-6 snook in an hour. And just by looking at that color line, especially, the color line, really looking for rip. I actually found a spot in the middle of town, this massive rip. Thought, let me try there. I'll show you my secret go a bit later. And I found them, and they were there. So Byron, what do you think? I mean, snook fishing.
The snook love those rips. They do love the rips. And even if you get onto like a late session, like a mid-morning session or something, if it's right on that low tide, you still got a good chance, because that's when they really do love feeding on that really strong rip, when you can see that rip and you can just paddle back and forth through it.
BK, what do you think?
Yeah, I think 100%. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, what you guys said is 100% correct. You know, a snook can be probably the most frustrating fish to try and catch and to find. You know, if they're not boiling on the surface, you know, they're difficult to find. But what I have seen in the last 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, is that the bigger fish have actually been in much deeper water. So they're in 25 meters. we got fish up at just north of Seabell about 6 weeks ago. You know, and we were in 25 meters on that little 25-meter drop. And the fish were there, and they're all decent fish, and they're all 6, 7, 8 kilos. And then last week off from Sloty again on the 25-meter line, just off the chain bricks there. You know, we dropped one decent fish next to the boat, and then we got one also of about 7 kilos. So definitely the bigger fish are deeper. And then I saw the guys have been raping the kindergarten there at Gainey River mouth. So I was going to slate some of the lighties there, but yeah, the guys have been having a bit of fun there at Gainey River mouth. But yeah, much smaller fish there. So smaller fish closer in, it appears to be. But they seem to be sitting on the deeper lines. Yeah, but like you said, I mean, you've got to those rips in particular. If you know they're in the area, if the fish in the area, definitely if you can find those rips, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's where the fish can be sitting. And then also look at that rip, because if it's ripping quite far out, you know, follow it out there. So crisscross it and move to deeper lines as well, because the fish can be sitting right on the end of the rip, you know, as it's sort of dissipating and operating in that area there. So I think it's quite important not. So we've grown up. Well, I have anyway, being very infatuated of getting like as close in to backline as you can to catch a snook. You know, literally in the mid break, shore break, you know, ducking waves. But in reality, you know, the bigger fish are sitting a bit deeper. So don't be scared to go that a little bit deeper. Yeah, I mean, and we've been getting most of our fish on fillets. So, you know, and I know the paddle ski guys, and I know Alistair, I mean, you've been getting a lot of fish also, and I'm sure you'll talk through some of those lures as well. We've had lures out. We've had a couple of our bulk of our fish have been coming on the fillets.
That's quite interesting, though, because the kayakers seem to be getting a lot more on the lures lately. So,
but Brendan, makes sense. You know, it makes sense because, you know, they're quiet, yeah. So, you know, they can pull at 6Ks, 7Ks an hour, but they're quiet. You know, it's versus the other boat. If you start pulling plastic around, then you know you tend to make more noise. You seem to get more. There's more strike, I think, on the jet ski, and maybe it's the tone of the engine. You know, that versus a ski boat. I think the boat seems to generate a lot of noise, and that's potentially, especially for snook, that are very spooky. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is snook.
Well, guys, I mean,
fish, right?
I don't know if you know, but the world famous St. Lucia Snook Derby is on next weekend. So if you do want to enter, get hold of Sean Aspen. He's running it. You can get hold of our cell phone number. I know that they'll post it on the chat. Myself and 4 or 5 other chaps are actually going up to fish it. We're quite excited. First time we're ever going to fish that comp on a jet ski. So all of this information, the guys that are going, I know us, you know, it's actually quite nice because you're targeting one fish. So you can have 6 different rods that catch the same fish. So it's for those boys going up to fish that. I'll see you there next weekend, and I'm sure, hopefully, weather permitting, we'll have a good comp. But other than that, snook, there are a couple coming out. Have a brief view of the 2 areas which I fish a lot. Belito, the guys have been pushing hard. I mean, today, if you looked at that water, it was actually complete glass. You know, they battled, more catching on jig. Sadly enough, the tuna, the pelagics, the garrick really haven't arrived. At the same time, I suppose you don't want to target them. So it's really, really been tough down here in Belito. But strangely enough, you go up to, you know, where Byron's famous slipfish was, Protea Banks. I mean, they're still getting very, very good fish there. And, Chick, can you see the tear rolling?
Yes, he's such a chopper.
But
I was just getting. I've been for counselling. I've been for counselling for the last like 4 weeks since that episode, and you've just reminded. You brought it back nice and fresh.
But a very prominent place I've been fishing is St. Lucia. I mean, I go up there often. Guys, there's still fish there. It's a lovely town. It's getting back to where it was. Credit to all the guys there. Lovely for the kids and wives. There's stuff to do. But I mean, I took a good friend, Steve Carroll, up there last Monday. 9 tuna, 3 GTs, 2 kuta from 8:30 in the morning to 12. You know, not massively huge fish. I got a lovely 25 odd tuna on a snook trace, which was quite fun.
Really?
But yeah, it was something else. But more so, what I wanted to show the guys is I was going to talk about it a little bit later, but especially talking about snook. That is my go-to weapon. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a 90mm Uzuri. Okay, it's available at urbanescapefishing.co.za. Mr. Clayton Waite comes in all various shades and colors, but that little lure, that size, is what I wanted to show you later. If you're looking to catch snook or anything, I've got 6 of these on my jet ski at any given time. Adrian Smith and the rest of the boys give them back. I gave it to them and they caught fish. So urbanescapefishing.co.za, if you're really, really serious about buying a quality lure, that's you get it in and 110. This is called the Candy, an amazing lure. You don't pull it more than 8 kilometers an hour, otherwise it jumps, big beak, and that is the most deadly weapon that you'll find, especially going into the snook derby. So I'm giving away my secrets, but that's why we're here. You know, this is why we have the show. So yeah, that's about, I suppose, all.
That color's a good color too. That.
Yeah, the Candy. And there's another one, it's called fluorescent pink. Those two, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that.
I would say,
I've got to keep Ali on tabs. I zoom in on every stream that he does this. I saw that photo there to zoom in, and I saw that thing hanging out, that snook scarp there. Definitely a killer lure. And obviously, when you try and get them, they're always sold out. So it always tells you how good the lure is.
well, that's why call Clayton. He's got plenty. I've spoke to him today, and definitely, I mean, I caught a wahoo on that exact lure at Cape Vidal, doing 8 k's an hour, 8 kilometers offshore on the ledge. So, you know, definitely St. Lucia is still a spot to go to. Right now, it's an hour and a half from Belito. Byron fished there the other day, or the kids were there. Yeah. Well done, credit to Team KZN. I don't think we've mentioned that, but winning it was the junior nationals, am I right?
Yeah, the under 16 junior nationals. Yeah. So before we go there, I think you touched on it there. I'll just about speed, especially when it comes to, also just jump in if you think I'm off the mark. But I'll generally won't pull more than 7 or 8 kilometers an hour for snook. So generally, I've been getting on fillets around between 5.8 and about 6.4 kilometers an hour. And then at that speed, you can put out a plastic as well, you know, so a deep diver like you've got there. So you can mix it up. You can put a couple of fillets out. So I'll generally put two fillets out, 2 different colored dusters. And sometimes that purple tends to work up north a bit more.
Yeah.
And then your pearl seems to work a little bit more down here. Yeah. So, and then whichever one goes away, then you can always swap out and put 2 pearls on. Or again, but while we're on snook, because I think we might move off it unless we come back to just cover. Yeah, I know that's the sort of trace I'd use. Hold it up there. So you've got your normal duster, very short lead wire. So like a number three lead wire, just very short, about probably about 80 mils, maybe 100 mils at max. Very small swivel on the front, number 6 bar swivel. And then what I'll do is I'll just drop in a couple of weights just behind the duster, just to get it down a little bit off the surface, to try and get a little bit deeper. You know, you can add some weight there as well. It's not, you could even go slightly bigger if you want, but that's sort of what I've been using at the moment, which has been quite successful. And then I'll dummy rig these 2 hooks, and this is just really everyone's got their preference. Everyone's got their own hook, whichever hook you like. But the nice thing about the Kendall around here is you can open that top eye, and then you can, the bottom hook, you open the eye on the bottom hook, and you can thread it into the swivel, and then bend the eye closed again. So now the swivel is inside the eye of that hook, and then you just drop the swivel over the top hook, and then just squeeze it so that it doesn't come up off over the top of the hook. So you got a double hook, and just when you're rigging your fillet, then you really have to tie the fillet around the top, because this top will penetrate through the fillet, and the fillet will extend just above where two of my fingers are, and then you just bind above and below. So you lock it onto the eye of that top hook, and then your fillet's lying down nice and straight. You don't have to make the fillet a total sausage to the bottom. You only need that top section, which leaves it nice and flat, and then it flaps more, and it won't spin. It'll run nice and straight in the water. Cut a slit down the middle. If we get time, we can show that later. But yeah, that's been very, very successful. And your hookup rates on this is quite nice. You can fish a medium drag, a medium to slightly tighter drag, because obviously it's got a very soft mouth. So you don't want to fish heavy drag. Even when you're pulling plastic, you want to be basically on your lightest drag, but that doesn't allow the lure to pull line. So, and if you do hook up, as soon as you've hooked up, I'll tend to slack off straight away when he's running, just so the hooks don't tear out of his mouth, because he's got a very soft mouth.
Yeah, that's
okay. Just answering Craig LaRue's question there. If you just read it there, are the snook more active in the winter months or better bite rates in the summer months? What do you boys think?
I think that's not.
Winter.
But then you have those snook runs in like February, March. So we're actually very lucky here that you have like these like flurries of like snook, like they'll go for like a few weeks of like real like great snook runs, and die off a bit like February, March. They often come
and they actually hang around the spot now, so they actually hang there.
Yeah, that's
the
thing.
Move on.
They do hang around. Yeah.
So guys are going back to the same spot like every day for a week and catching. But I can answer your question. I would say summer is still better. Thankfully, I think because the water, even though we're in the middle of winter, it's still 21, 22 degrees. We get to 18 or 19 degrees probably by October. So right now, it's still very, very good. I mean, there's been some bombers coming out 10 kgs. I've caught some decent ones. So thankfully, KZN all year round, but definitely you're going to get the big ones. They're way more active in the water, obviously chasing bait balls and so on and so on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's also a swing fish as well. I think they are very, they're unique to some areas as well. So to your point, you'll catch them in certain areas all year round. And maybe just because maybe I don't target them that much in summer because they frustrate me. So, this summer you've got kuta and that sort of thing operating, so generally targeting them. So, possibly just because I'll target them more in winter, just because there's sort of less happening around this time. So, but I hear what you're saying.
That could actually be the key to the whole answer, really, BK, is that a lot of guys are doing that. So, like now in the last couple of weeks, the snook have been there, so everyone's been chasing very specifically snook. They're not actually targeting anything else. Whereas in summer, you kind of like, sometimes you'll go out, you'll have a couple of runs for snook, and then head out for tuna, dories. Whereas now, you're just going to work that backline over and over and over again because there's not much else around. So maybe that's what sort of gives the impression that there's a lot more snook at this time of year. Whereas I think they just sort of come through in stages and big shoals, hang around a bit, and then keep coming back, which is lucky for us.
I think it's also got a lot to do with the water conditions. Like the heavy rains you've had the consistent sort of like off color water. I mean, they do tend to like that sort of more off color water, crystal clear. They generally don't feed. You might see them, but they generally don't feed. So I think the conditions also
are very much in their favour. You know, especially this sort of year, all the rain that we've had in the rivers flooding, flushing down, and that sort of thing. So I think that's also a contributor. I think the seasonalities of what happens in the year, you know, has a big effect on snook in particular.
Well, that's why you find
Okay.
this often around river mouths and in the rips, because they're chasing the little sprats that are picking up the nutrients that have been churned out in either the river mouth or churned up in the rip that's coming out.
Yeah.
And what is your, you know, Byron, you very prominent, Schlange, probably a little bit more south. What's your general?
Yeah, I mean, it's been iffy, you know. So I think it's you got to now the time, because it's sort of like it's an in between time as well. You know, the stars are absolutely wild at the moment. I fished the other night, and from the back of the middle reef, so from Umshloti, basically from Umshloti mouth on the middle reef, which is in 45 to 50 meters of water, all the way to Durban. I went to probably about 5-6 marks, and everywhere I stopped, it was wall to wall. So it was from 5 meters to 50 meters. Sorry, just so the mother is here. It's just not on. It's just not on backline. They're sitting between sort of 35 to 50 meter line. They're patching up all over. So we saw them on when we fished. I think I can't remember. Saturday we fished in the day. You could see, you know, they were popping up on the surface. So the guys have been getting a few tuna around those pockets of stars. But again, it's quite hit and miss. So you're putting plastic out and just pulling around, you know, and you might get one or two fish with it. So the thing with the stars is they keep pulling the fish away from the regular spots we would catch them. So it's similar with the bottom fishing side. You know, the fish are full. They're eating a lot of stars, obviously. And then also they're moving them around. So as they move, then they'll move with them. So it's very patchy at the moment. But I mean, the guys have been getting snook. I saw the guys got snook this week. I was pulling the guy's legs earlier, and I just some snook at him and gainy. But you know, good fun on light tackle. I think that's key. You know, get some light tackle. Don't have a throw there. You know, and then as I said, Umshloti, that 25 meter mark. You know, if you just work around there from basically the bricks up to the mouth, and they've been getting fish in the shallow there as well. But the bigger snook are definitely in that deeper water. They boiled there a couple of weeks ago, and they boiled there with the paddle ski guys in the afternoon, I think last week. So the guys got a hell of a lot of snook there as well. And then going back towards Durban, not too much on the pelagic side that I've heard of Durban, you know, other than Ugani, river mouth. Steve Clemens saying there, the wallows have been absolutely loose. You know, they have rights on North Pier. So every night we come back from fishing, there's 5-6 boats there, absolutely towing the water. I don't know what I don't know what with them. I don't know. Maybe there's probably they're eating somewhere that we don't know about. But yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe they're going for a chow or whatever. But yeah, those are absolutely clubbing the wallows on the end of North Pier. But yeah, then so we've been targeting sort of bottom fish, because during the day, generally, if you don't find the snook early in the morning, pretty much miss after that. We've been going a bit more at night now, and that's that time of the year, sort of that winter time, especially where there not being much tuna around. And yeah, we've been doing all right. We've had a couple of nice doggers, and again patchy, so you know, all over the place. One here, one there, and we managed to get a couple of killback on Tuesday night as well. So they've been sort of missing from here. That's our first back that we've had. But again, like that, you know, you go to 3 places, nothing, and then you just find a little patch there that's willing to eat. I think, you know, it's always that time, June, July, when the stars are hanging around. It's always a difficult time to go and sort of target one aspect. You've got to sort of play it on the day as well. You've got to sort of almost like everything, like, you know, hunting for snook, hunting for the tuna, you know. So it can be a very hit and miss at the moment. I think that once you go into sort of August, September, which obviously the weather's not that great, but you know, then I think the sides of this, the game fish will definitely be. They're definitely going to come. It's just a matter of time, you know. And I saw the guys got a couple of wahoo, as well. The Lucky's got some wahoo, and which then also starts well for the shoal. So the shoal could start operating now. I think there has been a couple of fish here. The guys love to keep it quiet, but I think that'll start turning on. And then the last thing is just the watercolor. I mean, it just hasn't come right yet. We've still got that like off.
Yeah.
So
Tinge. I saw it today. I went down to Melito and it just looked bad. That it was flat.
Yeah.
But it just didn't look inviting. And especially, guys, you've got to talk about it now, and everyone, I'm sure, can comment, the petrol price.
Yes.
I don't want to know how much it costs to fish on a boat nowadays. Because the next thing that I'm doing is taking the motors off, and I'm going to use oars and put 8 oaks on the boat and paddle. Because that's why, this hit and miss. I mean, I know that we want to do it, we go out because we love it. But there's nothing worse than coming back with a blob. And that's why, guys, if I'm sure Byron, Brendan, you can say the same. Go where the fish are. Don't hope and pray and launch the boat and go to your spot that you go every time and you've caught nothing 5 days in a row. That is why I travel. I'll rather take the time, go to a spot, spend a day there. There's lots of fish, and then come back. You have a good time. I probably caught more than I would in our area right now because it's just off. It's probably one of the best fishing areas in KZN. But right now, no. With that terrible water and the E. coli floating around and whatever else is in that ocean. So move, if I can find out, phone guys, ask locals, phone us, phone Byron, Brendan, Kirk. Where's the best place to go? And go there and enjoy it.
Do what I hate doing. Just go fish with the crowd because that's where the fish are.
Yeah, I think Ali hit it on the head as well. If you're going now, I mean, you're in, and it's no less on a jet ski. I mean, jet ski is 80 liters. If you're jumping on a boat, you're in for at least 3 tanks. 75 liters. It's like $2,000. So there's $2,500 a pop, which adds up very quickly. So I think the days of just jumping on the boat and running where we want to go and running 80 k's, one way, I think are going to come to an end quite quickly. I think you got to be a lot more circumspect now when you're fishing. I mean, rather make the trip count now, and go tow to the place that you want to launch. And make maybe only fish twice a month, but get the better results. So I think you're definitely going to see that I think that whole dynamic's going to change. And I honestly do think you're going to see a couple of more paddle skis on the water as well. A couple you wouldn't expect to see on there.
I'm telling you, those days are gone where you could just shoot out all the time, man. Brendan, what is your take on the kayaks? I mean, anything that you can help and give us advice where guys fishing on the kayaks or how your area's been up there in the mountain?
It's been quiet up fishing up here. This actually, Ali, your little question there ties in quite nicely with what Krista has just asked here. Okay, we've been talking snook, so it's a little bit off topic because when you're fishing for snook, you're not fishing on bait spots and you're not looking for larvae. But Krista says here, why do we always leave bait spots and fish other areas? Surely the game fish will know where the bait spots are. Is it not better to fish close around bait spots? And actually, that is something I've been saying time and time again. We say it on the kayaks. We'll often catch our bait, catch our larvae, and then off we go to the spot we've decided we're going to fish for the day. Whereas it's probably it's a good idea to just hang around that bait spot for a little bit. Vidal's a prime one. So often Vidal and the Fonteo, you catch your bait, and on a kayak it often happens when you're catching your bait and the boats come in, the jet skis come in, they all catch the bait, and the boats and the jet skis, they all bugger off because obviously they got engines, they can go far north or deep or wherever they're going. But if you're on the kayak, once those boats and jet skis dunk, hang around a little bit on the bait spot with your larvae out, because as Christo said, the game fish either they know the bait spots which they'll come in and feed on, or they're also looking for bait. So at some point they may find that bait. So it's a good idea to hang around the bait spots a bit.
I agree.
And even if you've got a little quick session, don't paddle all over the place. Maybe fish near where that bait has been. Plus, if you've gone out and you've fished, let's say Westbrook, for example, or Vital, catch your bait, hang around a bit, nothing happens, and off you go to your mark, and you fish the mark. Maybe you get a fish or two. Then sometimes you come in, pack up, and back and you go. Rather keep that larvae on, back to the bait mark, hang around the bait mark again a little bit, and you can go away. It's happened to me before.
Well, every time I catch
I've
baits,
baits on the back of Eastmore, right on back line, I get off to the barge, work the colour line, being quiet, kept the bait on, come back in, and caught a Dorado in 8 meters of water on back line. Because why?
every time I catch bait,
on the
the
bait.
first live bait goes in my hook, without a doubt.
100%.
Without a doubt, the first live bait's on my hook, and in a big. That's why Salmon Bay and the wreck is so good. You know, the bait's on the wreck, and the most fish caught in the whole of Belito has been on that wreck over the past 20 years, and it is that fish where the bait is. You know, give it a shot, pull it out a little bit out of the school, keep it within sort of 20, 30 meters of the school, and try it. Definitely the first thing. I also agree with that. Oaks get the baits and fly away to where they think the fish are. The fish is where the bait is. Always try that first. Obviously, you're there first, so it's a lot easier. But when you're catching baits,
a good idea is to maybe not let out a huge amount of line, because obviously there's a lot of guys around. So you don't
I probably let 15 meters. That's it.
Yeah,
I put the live bait on. It's only 15 meters deep. And I'll tell you what, how many times I've caught a fish before that sun's come up. So just guys,
just on another point.
Yeah. You were talking, BK?
No, I'm good.
So just to recap why we're here tonight. You want to talk there, Brendan?
No, I think there's a bit of a lag, so we keep talking over each other. Sorry.
Okay. So what we're going to do is, why we're here tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little bit of the tricks of the trade, a little bit of pointers, secrets, so on and so on. From my side, I've already showed you my secret. It's called the Yuzuri lure. Okay, 110 and 90 mils, absolute demon of a lure. I catch everything on that. I got 3 GTs on that, snook, tuna, it's unreal. The action of this lure, and I think it's just the color and the profile. If you look at the size, it's sort of the size of a red eye. So I'm going to hand over to Byron now, and we're going to pick Byron's brain a little bit. Byron, you ready? You fine?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm going to take over after Byron, but I'm going to let him carry on for a bit.
So, I mean, there was a couple of the one was that Snook spoke about earlier. So again, I think Snook is that you fish finesse fish. So again, even if I go to my leader, just because we're not running around full of Snook rods on the boat, but I'll generally go down to sort of my lightest leader that I fish, which will be 10 kilo fluoro. So a 10 kilo fluoro signal. So that'll be the leader coming in. And then down to number 6 swivel, number 3 wire, the lighter duster. So when I say the lighter duster, I'm saying smaller duster in terms of the amount of actual duster it has on it, if I want a better word. That's all we're going to call it. Not necessarily those big, heavy cutter dusters. But you can get one with a heavier head. But if you've got the lighter one, then that's what I'll generally just put some ball sinkers behind. I mean, you could add extras as well. And like I say, just to get it down a little bit below the surface, especially to Alistair's point, he's getting his fish on that Yuzuri. It's a deep diver. That thing's getting down about 5 meters. So it's also telling you, that the fish are a little bit deeper. And yeah, then that double hook for me just is really your hookup rate is probably about 90% with that double hook. So again, you bend open the eye on the bottom hook, put the swivel on, and then slide the swivel over the front hook here. Just slide it on, and you just crush it a little bit onto that hook there so it doesn't slide off. And then just when you're rigging, put a fillet check. Oh my goodness me, this is not the best rod. But I'm just cutting a fillet here. I'll try not to butcher it. I'll show you now. Don't panic. So there's your fillets of sard. And obviously first prize is a fresh red eye fillet. So if you are catching red eyes, just make sure you keep one or two on ice. So I will just trim off the stomach part, so just so that your fillet's quite square. Some guys like to have it full width. Some guys like to actually trim it even, to get more of a profile like a sprat. And then what I'll do is I'll just cut a cut in the lower section of it like that. So you've got that little slit there. Okay, and then if you're coming in to rig it, let's get my cup on here. So when you're going to rig it, then you're taking that top eye, you're measuring it that the top of the sardine will be just above the eye of that hook. That's where it's going to lie. And then you set that hook in the bait, through the center of the bait, come through on the meat side. So that hook's going to sit in the bait like that. It's relatively proud, sitting in the bait like that. And you can see the top of the sard, I've probably left it a little bit short. You can see the top of the sard is just above that top hook. And then you're just going to take cotton, and then you're going to just bind that top section. So I'm going below the eye, just about a little bit below the eye of the hook. And then I'm going to go up and above onto the wire, onto the actual wire. I'm just going around that top section like that. Go around there just to lock it in place. And then finish it off. So that's locked up now above the eye there, so that can't slide down. And then that second hook, I'll just drop into that slit that's in the bottom of the boat. Now, if you're fishing igfa, that you cannot do that slit in the bottom there. You have to peg that hook into the bait, so you won't cut the slit. But you can do the same thing. You'll just push the hook then through that bottom. But what it does now is it just allows those two little flaps at the bottom there just to play in the water like that, so it's got a bit of movement on it. But both your hooks now are sitting nice and proud in that bait like that. And that bait won't spin. So it's nice and flat, runs flat in the water. And like I say, some guys do like to just cut it slightly thinner so you can make it a little bit more finesse. Cut that thinner like that. But guys, for me, that's a deadly snook bait.
Oh, that's a big thing. Well done.
Yeah, and that's how I rig it. Quick, easy. On the hookup rate, like I say, is very good. Obviously, you got two hooks very nice and proud in the base.
Okay. Anything else you want to show the chaps before I carry on?
Then I don't know if you want to do something else, or if you. Yeah, I can. I'll just do a quick one, and this is probably trying to think, more cooler related, but if you're fishing for tuna down south, where especially like a protein that if you don't necessarily have and you block baiting. Why block baiting is always
looks like Byron's frozen there, guys. So I'm going to carry on a bit. Just asking you, Anthony, the Uzuri lures, yes, you must change the hooks. This is a BKK Fang that's on here. Very light hook, very thin, doesn't change the action. So yes, they do have very strong hooks, but change them anyway. So first thing I wanted to do is show you on this lure how I tie the knot. Okay. This one in particular, I like to have a loop on the knot. Okay. I never like, you can put a swivel on. Okay. Most of the time, I forget to put the swivel, so I just use the knot. But what I'm going to do is tie a uni knot. Okay. And I'll show you why. So to tie a uni knot, you can see I'm using yellow line here. Okay. You just loop it over. Okay. You hold it and you wrap it around. So you see, I've taken that. I'm going 1, 2. I just do it probably 3 times on these lures. And you actually tie a uni knot. And then what you must do is pull it just before the beak. Okay, so you've got a small little knot and you pull this as tight as you can. Okay, move it down. See there? You can see it's just in front of the beak, so it's not overhanging. And you pull this as tight as you can on the tag end, and this makes your lure swim a lot better. You can see there. Okay, the action of this lure now, instead of just moving very, very slowly, it actually moves a lot more. It gives it a much better action. And if you pull that, you can pull that at 10, 15 k's an hour, not on this lure, but on any lure. And it just gives you a much better action. So that's the uni knot. You pull the tag end as hard as you can, and it just gives you a much better action on these lures. Okay, that's trick number 1. Then I want you guys to think. You go out, you plan to catch bait, and you don't catch any bait. You catch nothing. So what do? Most oaks just throw a lure out the back and hope for the best. What I'm going to show you now, I actually had a technical difficulty earlier. My cat ran away with the merchandise, so I had to go and get another one. But here's a mackerel. Okay. What I'm going to teach you now is what you can use on any bait, a mackerel, a sardine, and so on and so on. This is called a stick trick. Here's a society stick. So now how this works is this creates a backbone for this dead fish. So make sure you've always got dead bait. What we're going to do is just above the head here, we're going to poke it and we're going to run it along the back, all along the back. Okay, got fish all in my diary. You can see there. Okay, we're going to pull it out a little bit, just mark it, and we're going to cut it. Cut it with that. Obviously, you don't want it sticking out. Now, when we put it in, it's gone. Now, this, all that you have to do is I'm just going to use one of the traces I've got, is you hook your hook on the head. Now, what you're doing is you're hooking it under the stick, like that. You throw this out off your boat, off your jet ski, you let the line go for as far as you can, and you put your rod up. And as your boat moves, what happens with this fish? It sinks, and then when your boat moves and your rod dips, it swims up, and it sinks, and it swims up. And I tell you what, the biggest wahoo I've ever caught is like that. It's called the stick trick. You use a society stick. I've got blood all over my diary here, but never throw a lure out. Try that first. Society stick all the way just underneath the skin, and you don't have to put a steel trace. I mean, sometimes if you're fishing for kuta love it, put a little bite trace of steel. I just put fluoro, a big 5.0. I use the Big Gun Mustad 5.0. You put it just through the head, flick it out, let it go, and then as your boat rocks, so the fish, it jumps. It's an unbelievable way to fish. The next thing I want to show you with my funny sardine is picture this is a live bait. And what I'm going to do is show you, get the hook out. So this sardine, this mackerel is alive. Okay. If you look at this trace here, it's a steel trace, okay? And you can see how short the hooks are. I mean, that's probably only 4 centimeters. Now, how are you going to hook a bait with this? If you want to give your live bait a different action, okay, so when you're pulling a live bait on a cooter trace, let's say it swims straight. You know, it swims, if you put a sinker down, it still swims in that column. What you're trying to do with this is you want this live bait to actually swim like that. You want it to swim down, okay? So it's going to be pulled like that. And as you're pulling it, and very, very slow trawl, guys, remember, you just start the jet ski, I mean, literally, or a boat, 2 k's an hour maximum. So what you're going to do is you're going to hook one in the back, just behind the head, okay? Once it sorts its life out, okay? There we go. And then you're going to hook one in the tail. Now this is a live bait, remember that. And remember, guys, use dark hooks for dark colors. So you can see the mackerel's black. So if you're using a red eye, make it much smaller, but use silver hooks. So it sort of camouflages. And then what's going to happen, it's actually going to pull it like that now. Okay. Very good way to get a different action. It's also a good way to get your bait swimming down. So what you can do is you can stop every now and again, like literally neutral, and this bait will swim down with the hooks, put it in gear, and so it will lift up again. So very, very good way, very different way. Me with all my sardine blood here on my diary. Work's going to love it tomorrow. But yeah, that's pretty much for me. Other than that, if you guys want any help, please give us a shout. But yeah, anything from your side, Brendan?
Yeah, I just want to just touch on one thing we didn't chat about when we were talking snook. Obviously, we were talking trawling and pulling fillets, pulling lures. But another great way to catch snook in a really fun way is with spoons. The thing is with spoons, though, is that those snook are very finicky. So if you're going to have, if you're going to take spoons out, you need to have a nice selection of spoons. So you have a wide range of different sizes. So I'll normally take like a little sprat, this little bite-me sprat. These are lovely little little bullet spoons that bite-me make. I'm actually not sure if they make them anymore, but these used to be made a while back. We must just check with Elaine. I wonder if they do make them still, but this sort of size. And then you work your way up like your Halco twisties. These are also deadly. A Halco twisty. They come in different colors. You got the this is the green tint. It's actually not showing green on there. That's strange, but that's the green shade there. That is the 20 gram, I think. Yeah, 20 gram. And then you get a 30 gram. There's a 40 gram there. That's the bigger twisty. These twisties have got a deadly action in the water. In fact, you can actually trawl these as well. The twisties you can trawl for snook. And you got the anchovy spoon is also very good for snook. That's also
that's my also deadly go-to
size and profile. So I hooked myself here. There's a CRD spoon there from CRD. So yeah, you gotta have a good variety of different sizes in your tackle box when you're fishing for snook, when you're fishing with spoons, and if the snook are there and they're feeding, and they're not biting on this size, switch down to a smaller size, and then they're still not biting, switch up maybe to a bigger
zoned in
profile.
on one particular size.
Yeah, they definitely, those snook in particular, they really do zone in on a certain size lure. And then another thing that guys make the mistake of when you're throwing spoons or any lures for that matter, you'll have a fish chasing it, and then they'll slow down. Keep pulling that spoon at the speed that the fish picked it up on, because that's what it's zoned in on. don't slow down, then it often will move away. If it catches up to it, it'll catch up. You actually can't, you don't realize how fast those fish move. You often have guys, or they'll be pulling the spoon quite quick. They'll see a fish chasing it, and then they'll slow the spoon down. Just keep that retrieve at the same speed. If you miss,
Well
throw
said.
again,
Well done.
throw again, and pull it again at the same speed. Don't slow your spoon down and change your action if it's working. And again, and another thing is, if that spoon's working and if it's working in that spot, keep fishing that spot. Don't catch one, catch two, and your mate's over there on a fish. I think you go over there or see what he's doing. Keep fishing where the fish are and keep doing what you're doing if it's working.
No, thanks, guys.
That's a good point someone just brought up there. If the fish don't bite on the surface, then let that spoon sink, and then bring it up through the water column a bit as well.
Well, from my side, guys, epic informative show, should I say. Thanks for Byron sharing a few secrets, showing the guys, Brendan, Cam in the back there, which no one ever sees. Big thank you. From myself, guys, always happy to host you. I hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, if you need any help, we do have a number. I'm sure Mary will post it soon. Get hold of us, ask questions. If you want some fishing spots or how we can help, please give us a shout anytime. Other than that, thanks for watching and hope to see all of you again soon. Thanks, boys.
Just one point before we go. On Saturday, I'm going up to Saftad. So we're going to do a little bit of live streaming from there, and we'll be seeing a few nice new products popping up we'll live stream from there where the public can't go to the show. It's a trade show, but at least we'll be able to drop some products out onto the live stream that guys will be frothing to check on the shelves.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah, well, keep us posted. Send us the link.
Cool. Thanks. Shot, Ellie.
Thanks, boys. Have a good evening. Thanks, viewers. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys again soon.
Cheers.